Sharon, what else is going on inside you in this whole process? There's more that's going on. Is it just mental? Is your decision making, when that jury is trying to decide whether to lock a person away for life, and you're one of 12 leaders, if you're a judge someday, say in a federal system where there is the death penalty, or you live in another state where there is the death penalty, and you are asked, is it just a head decision? How many of you think that decision making, 99% is in your head? That's what I thought. So what else is going on? Where is it? Where?
It's moral.
But what's that?
Well, that's in the heart.
Heart. Heart. Do you mean, tell us your name, please.
Andy.
Andy, do you mean that it's really right here?
It's a decision that, depending if you make the wrong one, it physically hurts.
Where does it hurt you?
Stomach.
Stomach. Oh, we're shifting anatomy. Stomach. What else do we say about the stomach when you're making a decision?
It's a gut feeling.
Gut. A gut feeling. So we got the brain, right? We got this part. That's up here in the analysis. A little deductive reasoning, maybe induction, using the canons of logic to weigh the evidence. Yeah, we all figure that out. But now you're telling me something else that's very interesting, and you don't know where it is. That's the most interesting thing about your discussion. You can't tell me where it is. What else do we say in English? If you feel something in your bones. Okay. Whoops. Brain's the easy part. I can identify when I'm just thinking and there's no emotional reaction. You know what an emotion is? Everybody in here know what an emotion is? An emotion is some response that makes a physiological reaction. When you feel fear, this part of your whole body starts to feel different, doesn't it? When you feel joy, this whole part of your body starts to feel different, and you can identify it. And from the time you were a baby, you learn to identify these feelings inside of yourself, and this became part of your emotional intelligence. But isn't it interesting that in English, when we talk about making a tough decision, ultimately, when somebody asks you to rationalize it, very rarely do you say, the decision was in my brain. No, because you realize, that, as Andy said, that there's usually a moral component. It's gravitas. It's involving another person's life. So it's in the heart. Sometimes we say, I knew it in my heart. I had a gut feeling. I can feel it in my bones. Do you see the confusion in our very language about decision making? So that's going to limit actually what we do, and we discuss this. But you're on to something. But I want to take you a step further in this first process here. You're gathering this information, you're thinking about it, you're feeling through it using your intuition, which is not the same as emotion. Intuition it's a sense that we learn to trust, and yet it's very hard to put our finger on. We're using yet another piece of anatomy. I can't put my finger on it. So you have all this going on inside of you. But what actually happens when you come to that tough decision? What actually happens? Somebody else. Let's get somebody else to jump in here. What a tough decision for somebody else. Please feel free to speak up. You, sir. You're giving me good eye contact. You're thinking. Can you share with us a tough decision you've had to make in your life? It can be personal or professional.
Probably the toughest decision I've had to make is where to go to college at.
Okay, where to go to college. And your name, sir?
Michael.
Michael. Okay, Michael. Share with us, how did you know at the end of the day where to go?
At the end of the day, I had to weigh all the information. I had to deal with my feelings and personal views of each university, figure out which one I would give me the best outcome.
Okay, so you're using your head, but you're also using the word feeling.
Right.
Okay? And at the end of the day, can you tell us exactly how it all came together?
Yeah. Well, I toured 4 campuses, looked at the costs for each one. And a big part of it was just like a general feeling when I was on the campus where I felt the most at home, the most comfortable. That was a big part in why I chose coming to Grand Valley, is I just felt more welcome, more comfortable here, like from the very start. So that was why I was able to make the decision to come to Grand Valley.
Okay, very good. Very good explanation, Michael. Now, did you have a rival, like, say, a second place? Just like, when professors design these multiple choice questions, or say a 4-point question, they write 2 questions that are absolutely absurd to make sure that the person, did the reading of the chapter, and then it usually comes down to 2 questions where you pause on the 3rd one, and then you reason your way to the 4th usually. Did you have a rival that was very close?
A rival college?
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Oh, you made the best decision to come here. We wouldn't want to lose you to Ohio. Okay. You've used some interesting verbs and nouns. You've talked about your analysis, your weighing, outcomes, feelings. At the end of the day, though, do you know precisely where that decision comes from? Did it come from your head, or was it just something that generalized?
Generally, I'd say it was an emotional decision. I wouldn't say it was a logical. Like, I can't say.
Okay, you
Grand
can't
Valley
say.
gives me the best
Okay.
college.
It's a hunch.
Right.
It's a hunch. This will reveal something very interesting, I think, and with your decision that you made, how did it come together at the end for you? The decision you actually made, did it stay in your head, or was it a feeling, or was it a general, just sort of this general thing that, well, this is...
I think a lot of it was a feeling like this is the right thing to do in this situation, even though it's not necessarily what I want to do.
Okay. It seemed right, but it's hard to locate it. It's ladies and gentlemen, is there a sense in which these tough decisions involve everything that you're talking about? Brain, heart, feeling it in your bones. Even, yes, the gut, because you get a sensation with an emotion. That's what an emotion is, remember. It produces a physiological sensation. So yes, even your gut is giving you a reading, right? In a sense, isn't your whole body involved in a decision? Have you ever looked at it that way? You're putting your whole self into it, the tough decision that makes the difference in the future that you're going to pursue or somebody else is going to pursue, right? Okay, when you actually come down and make the decision, what I'm suggesting, decision-making is more than the sum of the parts. We've looked at the parts, brain, heart, stomach, gut feeling, bones, but it's more than the sum of the parts. When you make the decision, you make the decision. Even an interesting verb here, you make a decision. In other languages, you don't necessarily make decisions. It's as though you are crafting. You are creating a decision, something that is absolutely unique in human history and in time. You are making something. It's a decision. And I'd like to suggest to you that the sum, or the whole, is greater than the sum of the parts. And thank goodness we've had people think about what this involves. There was a very smart man in the 19th century named John Henry Newman, and he wrote a book called The Grammar of Assent. And in The Grammar of Assent, in chapter 9, he speaks of something called the illative sense. The illative sense.